So today we're working on a 2016 F150. It's charging, but the charge indicator light on the dash is on. And there is a current fault code P0620-00. And looked at the troubleshooting chart in Identifix. First of all, Identifix didn't have information for 2016, so I hope 2015 is the same. First thing it says to do is check wires to the charging system alternator, and connector 102A here was unplugged. So I plugged it in, and that made no difference. So then I noticed this circuit, brown red wire, comes from charge indicator diagram 12.1 and fuse 38 in the fuse panel. That fuse is good. I've tested it and it has power on both sides of the fuse. But if I go to the actual alternator at pin 3 of the alternator with a test light, it won't light the test light. So there's pin 3 of the alternator, and I have no power there. So we're going to have to look at that schematic again. That schematic shows connector C146. That would be the next logical place to go, so we're going to have to find out where that is. So connector 146 looks like it's right beside the battery. It's a pretty crappy looking picture. Let's go see if we can find a connector picture of the connector. C146. Let's go to connector face. So it's a 16 pin connector. So it should be beside the battery. Beside the battery junction box. There it is there. Right there. So we'll have to take that apart and see if there's anything wrong with it. So connector 146 is beside the battery junction box. Attach this little plastic bracket, so I can unclip the bracket and unclip the connector. Taken it apart and looked in it, and it looks pristine. It's pin 9, and I don't know which pin is 9, so I'm going to have to get a connector view again and look at this a little closer. So connector 146 or 149 is right beside the battery there, and fuse 38 is this fuse right here, which you can see is good. So this is the terminal coming out of that connector. Oh, my ground fell off. Make sure the test light works. It does. So this is the connector coming out, terminal coming out, pin 9. So I looked at the terminal, it's good, but yet I have no voltage or no power to light the test light anyways. Down at that connector down there, so somewhere between that terminal there and the actual terminal over here, we have an open circuit. So we're going to have to see if we can find, there's no other connectors or splices illustrated in the circuit, so we're going to have to look closely at where the wire might be chafed or something. So I temporarily installed a jumper wire from pin 9 at connector 146 inside the battery junction box to that pin 3 at the connector at the alternator. Charge indicator light is off. So this thing doesn't need an alternator, it needs a wiring repair, unfortunately. Looking at that schematic, there is nothing in between. Focus, come on. Connector 146 and the actual alternator, pin 3 at C102A. So we'll have to try and see if we can find a corroded wire or a spot where the harness might be compromised. So again, with that jumper wire in place, sending power to pin 3 You can see the generator command is at 56% and monitor is at 20%, 30%, so it's working fine now. So we've got to find the break in that wire. Unfortunately, it may not be easy. So that harness runs down to the alternator under the front of the engine here. This is the harness here. So I decided, because this side of the harness would flex with the engine moving, I would open the harness here. I opened the harness and I found this loop of wire in here, and the brown wire was one of them. So I tugged on it, and lo and behold, it fell out somewhere up in this area up in here. So I'm untaping the harness now to find the other end of it so I can reattach it. There's the corroded wire right there, little pesky bastard. Now, this is really hard to see in here, but I peeled that harness back and uncut the straps and pulled the tape back, and there is the other end of the wire. The other three wires look like these are the other wires to the alternator. They're extra long, so I got more than enough wire to actually fix it. And the other wires are perfectly fine, so I don't know if there was a compromise in the insulation and the salt got into it, or if it was being chafed by the flexing of the harness when the engine rocks. We're going to repair that harness and should be good to go.